This week I will be talking about Boston's Freedom Trail. So a little bit on Boston's public history. Boston was at the heart of the American Revolution. When it comes to preserving the history of the city, most Bostonians stated that the goals of the revolution was liberty, equality, and ensuring that all could have a voice. According to public historian Martin Blatt, these ideas brought continuing struggles to Boston and the nation over politics, economy, and culture. He also believed that the legacy of Boston in the Revolution comes from the struggle itself. The city of Boston has a wealth of historic sites at the disposal of the public. While a lot of its historic structures have been lost over the years, the National Park Service has taken it upon themselves to preserve several locations and structures vital to the history of Boston and the birth of the nation. A group of Bostonians would also come together to make these sites more accessible to anyone wanting to visit. So what is the Freedom Trail? The Freedom Trail was established in 1964 and helps preserve the history through educational programs, marketing, and public relation efforts. It is a 2.5-mile marked by a red line trail through the city of Boston, which connects 16 of the most significant historical landmarks. These landmarks are important to understanding American history and the American Revolution. The mission of the Freedom Trail is to help educate and create positive change in the community. The sites included along the way range from churches, graveyards, meeting halls, colonial homes, shops, battlegrounds, warships. But the most active of these sites are the Old South Meeting House, the Bostonian Society, which housed the Old State House, the Paul Revere House, the Old North Church, and the USS Constitution Museum. So a few interpretations. Alfred Young wrote an essay on the pitfalls of Boston's public history. His interpretation claims that the Freedom Trail does not have a single identity. While Boston itself is grounded in the American Revolution, there are many important and significant parts of their history that they also tried to highlight. This means that the Freedom Trail also includes stops in partnership with the African American History Museum, which would create a joint project, which is the Black Heritage Trail. Nina Zanarini, who is the director of the Paul Revere House, she writes from a insider perspective of the Freedom Trail. Her essay addresses how the Freedom Trail has changed over the years. She states that the house has rewritten the narrative so that it shows the actual history of the man behind Paul Revere and not the long accepted myths. Then there's Sarah Purcell, who focused her interpretations on the arts, where she concluded that it is important to acknowledge that public monuments are never fixed in time, but that they are constantly evolving and changing. And then finally, Martin Blatt concludes in his essay an analysis of Boston's public history by stating that the Freedom Trail is meant to be a special section of Boston's history. And while there are many areas of Boston that celebrate other parts of its history, the Freedom Trail is meant to represent the Revolution for what it was and the events that happened. And these are my citations. Thank you.